So, hello guys. By the way, Happy New Year and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today, I want to address two main things that people face in Mombasa when they import their cars. In the recent months, since I started talking about importation, a lot of people have always been reaching out to me during the weekend and other times and ask me these questions of estimating their total landed cost. Total landed cost is the full cost of your car when it gets to you, either in Mombasa or in Nairobi, meaning that having paid for everything, how much will that vehicle arrive to you at in terms of Kenya shillings? For example, if you want to buy maybe Toyota Harrier, I can tell you maybe it will get to you at 3 million. But a lot of people are asking, is that 3 million the total cost? Are you sure that KRA and the Kenya Port Authority in Mombasa will not ask me for additional money? And I know these questions are not coming from nowhere. I have had stories and I have also met people that were given the total cost of a car. And then when that car arrives in Mombasa, they are faced with additional cost. They are told there is this communication from KRA, you need to add 300,000. There is this issue with the Kenya Port Authority, you need to add 40,000 Kenya shillings. Where do those issues come from? And that is what I want us to discuss today, because I don't want my viewers to follow every step about importing a car, and when it gets to Mombasa at the port, then you are faced with uncertainties and additional cost that you did not anticipate. Previously, I have spoken about other things that people do wrongly and cost them a lot of money. Some of these things I said, paying money to the wrong bank account abroad, using maybe wrong importation agents that will steal your money, or even buying cars in poor condition from Japan that could fail inspection, and then maybe you lose your money and you are asked to maybe top up money for repairs. But today I will not focus on those other things. I want to focus on what can go wrong at the port of Mombasa. The first thing is what can go wrong with the Kenya Ports Authority. Okay, so when you are buying vehicles from Japan, and you can check from many websites, there are vehicles that are being indicated on the way. Okay, so when you are buying that car, even from the Japanese website, it means that that car has already departed from Japan. But even if it has arrived at the port of Mombasa, they will still indicate on the way. What some of these major exporters do is that because they are confident they have return clients, they have a big customer base in Kenya, they pre-ship some units and try to sell them while on the ship. Okay, so to some extent, sometimes they manage to sell all the units, but in other instances, the vehicles arrive in Mombasa, but they are still not yet bought out. So when your vehicle arrives in Mombasa, remember, you only have 21 days to clear your car before it starts incurring additional fee for storage or for parking at the Kenya ports, in the ports of Mombasa. So when you are buying a car, a lot of people will prefer to buy those cars that are indicated on the way, because they will arrive to you a bit faster, because they have already been pre-inspected in Japan, they have already left the port, and actually they can get to you even a week or two, or even they would be in Mombasa. But the biggest risk with those cars is that if those cars arrived in Mombasa over 21 days before you bought it, it means that the money you will pay for that car will attract additional cost because of what we call demurrage fee. Okay, and people who are aware with, are familiar with the international logistics will understand what demurrage fee means. It is the additional cost that you pay for storing your goods at the port beyond the grace period. So the grace period is 21 days. So if someone sells to you a car that is on the way, always ask, has that car already arrived? Is it at the port of Mombasa? If they tell you yes, let them tell you, when did that car arrive? Okay, if it is more than 21 days ago, then ask them, what is the incurred demurrage fee so far, so that you plan for it. Otherwise, you will be faced with additional costs that you did not anticipate. And that is the first uncertainty that face people while in Mombasa. The second one is with regard to KRA taxation. And this one is the most frequent. This one is the most frequent because the reference for taxation was published in 2019. Okay. And when the parliament was doing that publication for taxation of used cars imported into Kenya, they did not anticipate a lot of new models that have come into Kenya after 2019. So my advice to anyone who wants to import, you should focus. If your vehicle is, if you, let me put it this way. If the car you want is not cast in stone, always prioritize cars that have duty defined in the 2019 law. Okay? So if your car does not appear in the 2019 taxation list, please don't prioritize it because it can give you a shock. There are vehicles that have their duty very well defined and you can never face a shock when it comes to Mombasa. For example, talk of the old models, Toyota Premio, Toyota Fielder, Mazda Axelas, the Toyota Sientas, the Harriers, so many cars that you used to see in Kenya before 2019. But if the car you desire does not appear in that list, of course, you will not be forced to buy a car that you don't want simply because it is not on the list. You now can ask your clearing agent to help you in finding the duty for a car that does not have its duty defined. In that case, there is what we call the Kenya Revenue Authority rulings. So that is whereby, a board meeting within the Kenya Revenue Authority sits down in a boardroom and they say, okay, we did not have Mazda 30s in 2019, but now they are starting to come into Kenya. Or Mazda CX-8, we did not have it in 2019, but it is starting to come into Kenya now. What should be the duty for this? So they sit in a boardroom and they release what is called a ruling. In that case, they will define the tax themselves. Okay? So it is not something that has gone to the parliament. It has not been signed into law. Okay? So in that case, these rulings, they can be reviewed and republished anytime. Unlike the CRSP, unlike what has been published in 2019, which I think is through an act of parliament, that one cannot be changed unless it is through an amendment. But these other ones that are published by KRA, today they can say the tax for Mazda CX-5 today, CX-8, let's put it at 800,000. And then next year, a lot of people buy CX-8. And then KRA are like, we also have targets to make money. And I see if we just strike a small increase in CX-8, then we might hit our targets. So the next month you bring us a CX-8, you'll find that duty has moved from 800,000 to 1.1. And you are like, we never saw any amendment of the parliament indicating there would be changes in these duties. So those shocks happen when you don't focus on your clearing agent giving you the actual, the current court ruling, or when you use the wrong court ruling. And what happens when you are buying these cars that don't have a well-defined duty? Don't take too much time to import them. Make sure that you ask your guy, will my car arrive into Kenya within 45 to 60 days before things change? Because KRA guys could sit down tonight and tomorrow decide to review. And I'll give you an example of a Mazda Axera Sport. Okay? That car, okay, not Mazda Axera Sport. It is the Subaru Impreza Sport, the GT2. The GT2 does not appear, or it was not well defined in the 2019 tax list. So it is implemented on what I have discussed, the KRA rulings. Last year, I checked the taxation for for the Subaru Impreza Sport, the GT2. That is the 1.6 liter two-wheel petrol. Okay? The GT2, the tax was 670,000 Kenya shillings. Okay? This week, my clearing guy informed me that there is a new court ruling for that car, and the new duty is around 852,000. Imagine an increase of around 130,000 from one. Even 6 months are not finished since I checked that. And he was trying to tell me it is always good to be very, very prudent with cars that do not have their defined tax in the 2019 law, because things can change anytime. And I can tell you, any fast-moving car in the Kenyan market is subject to tax review by the Kenya Port Authority, by the Kenya Revenue Authority, because them, when they see a lot of that car being sold, they are sure that even if they change the tax by a small stroke, they will make a killing from tax collection. But some cars, they don't have interest to review, because in any case, those cars are not fast moving. So my advice to anyone here, be very careful on those things. Otherwise, you can have a very bad experience. And you know, in this journey of importing a car, one thing I came to notice, people don't want unpredictability. They want to know full cost to the last shilling. Because even if you tell them to add an extra 1,000 shillings, people start feeling as if they are being shortchanged. And it is not good. So try to work with your clearing guy, with your import facilitation person, to get estimation to the closest exact amount possible. Okay? And people are able to do that. But there are some people who are in a hurry to sell cars to people, and they don't pay attention to these details, and their clients, they end up paying a lot of money that they did not anticipate. I hope you guys were able to find a bit of value in my video. And as always, if you want a cup of coffee with me during the weekend, my number is here. Reach out if you want connection with guys who helped me buy cars from Japan. I can also connect you with those guys. Okay, guys, I wish you a very prosperous year, and let us keep exchanging notes. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.